Chapter 2 General Interpretations of the System of Nature, which science universally recognizes as fundamental. The following propositions, slightly modified from the original, are drawn from von Gravel's textbook of homeopathy. The laws and ways of nature are uniform and harmonious. Effects follow cause in unbroken succession. To every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Action and reaction are ceaseless, equivalent, and reciprocal. Motion is ceaseless and transformation continuous. Matter is indestructible and infinitely divisible. Force is persistent, indestructible. The quantity of action necessary to effect any change in nature is least possible. Every change of state or event that has a number of causes, known as primary and secondary causes, or as cause and condition. For example, a spark of fire put into a barrel of powder is the cause of explosion that follows. Similarly, chlorine remains chlorine and hydrogen remains hydrogen. Only when they are combined they form hydrochloric acid under laws of chemical affinity. Thus, cause of tuberculosis is tubercle bacillus. The necessary condition for secondary cause of the action of bacillus are the peculiar bodily constitutions, predisposition, susceptibility, and environment of patient. Disease is neither an action nor a reaction, but only a new or changed state of organism caused by the interaction of an external cause with internal constituents of the organism. In organic world, there is no simple bodies but only the simple primary substance, the corporeal life substance itself, of which in combination with the chemical elements all living organized bodies are formed. Relation of science and art. Every art has its foundation in science and every science finds its expression in art. When artist becomes a scientist and scientist becomes an artist, they meet on the mountain top of human experience. His work must be both artistic and scientific. Theory and practice must go hand in hand. Fact is that homeopathy was logically an legitimate offspring of the inductive philosophy and method of Aristotle and Lord Bacon. Homeopathy, a science. Homeopathy or homeotherapy is the department of science in general medicine. The principal objects the observation and study of the action of the remedial agents in health and disease and the treatment and cure of disease by medication according to a fixed law or general principle. Homeopathy was founded and developed into a scientific system by Samuel Hahnemann 1755 to 1843 under the principles of inductive method of science as developed by Lord Bacon. Mutual action formulated by Sir Isaac Newton in his third law of motion. Action and reaction are equal and opposite. Homeopathy as a science rests fundamentally upon four general principles: similarity, contrariety, proportionality, and infinitesimality. To test for validity of any law that is claimed to be a natural law or law of nature, that is capable of connecting and explaining two series of natural phenomena. that is in harmony with other known laws. In chemistry, the properties of potassium are related to the properties of sulfuric acid by the law of chemical affinity and definite proportions in the formation of a new compound, potassium sulfate. Therapeutics is that department of medical science that relates to the treatment of disease and the action of the remedial agents on the human organism, both in health and disease. Homeopathy and experimental science. Homeopathy is established under the principle of inductive method in science. It consists of two series of phenomena independently observed, collected, and studied. Its elements are the phenomena of disease, the phenomena produced by drugs who administered to healthy person, the general law of mutual action, otherwise known as Newton's third law of motion, and as law of similars. Experimentally, in the construction of homeopathic materia medica, medicines were administered singly in various doses on healthy human beings. Symptoms produced by drugs are similar to the symptoms of the disease. Medicines cure disease by virtue of their similarity of symptoms, that is, medicines cure or remove in sick. Homeopathy and art. Homeopathy works in perfect harmony with all necessary rational, non-medicinal and mechanical therapeutic agents. Homeopathy is opposed to the use under ordinary conditions of drugs in physiological doses for mere palliative purpose. Homeopathy is opposed to the methods of vaccine and serum therapy. The method of applying the principle as being a violation of sound nature principles of medication and productive of serious injury to the living organism. Homeopathy is opposed to so-called pathological prescribing and to group treatment of diseases by which individual peculiarities are ignored and patients are grouped according to their gross pathological organic lesions and treated alike. Homeopathy is opposed to all forms of external local or topical drug treatment of external secondary symptoms of the disease except in surgical cases. Homeopathy is opposed to polypharmacy. It depends for all its results upon the dynamic action of single, pure, potentiated medicines prepared by a special mathematico-mechanical process and administered in minimum doses. The experimental work in the consulting the homeopathic materia medica has been conducted with single medicines. Each medicine has its own definite and peculiar kind of sphere of action. Scientific accuracy as well as law of similars require that the treatment of patients proven experimentally that the sick organism is peculiarly and even painfully sensitive to the action of single similar medicine, and curative effects are obtained from sub-physiological doses. The progressive reduction of the size of the dose to the smallest effectual curative quantity and discovery and formation of the law of potentization and infinitesimal dose. The working principle of homeopathy. The totality of symptoms of patient is the basis of medical treatment. The use of single medicines, the symptoms and sphere of action of which have been predetermined by pure control experiments upon the healthy persons. The principle of symptom similarity as the guide to the choice of the remedy. The minimum dose capable of producing a dynamic or functional reaction, similia similibus curantur, simplex simile minimum.